What's good? We back with Motor City Sports Talk, talking about the Detroit Lions once again. It's your boy CJ Goodfella talking about should the Detroit Lions switch to a 3-4 defense, and with Matt Patricia coming in, the Patriots historically been known to run a 3-4 or a hybrid 3-4-4-3. So they pretty much in New England, they pretty much over recent history ran whatever their personnel dictated that they had, and I think right now they're running a 4-3, and for the Lions, I think it really doesn't matter at this point, as much as people believe in bringing in new personnel. You have to worry about your back end, your DBs. That don't have nothing to do with the front with 3-4. But when you're talking about the 3-4, you have to reconstruct your front, and you no longer have any big money players there like Ndamukong Suh, Nick Fairley, and Cliff Averill, Ziggy Ansah, Kyle Van Der Bosch, guys that truly fit a 4-3. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have any linebackers that, just fit that. So you have a front seven where you don't have any money tied up in anybody big time, and you really can mold it the way you want to mold it. So when you're talking about personnel and money-wise, it doesn't matter. The Lions have a lot of cap room, and they have to rebuild the front seven if it's a 4-3 or a 3-4 regardless. So if you're worried about the roster haul over, don't worry about it because they have to rebuild the front seven. And the one guy that they do believe in, Jared Davis, he'd be able to plug in the middle inside linebacker in the 3-4, and I think he'd be okay. And you just have to give him a running bait in the 3-4. And that's one thing that's really hard to find is an inside linebacker in this league, let alone find two for the 3-4 defense. And you have to worry about adding an extra linebacker to stand up. Well, usually the more successful ones have two stand-up linebackers that really act as defensive ends but can drop in coverage as well and act as great pass rushers. You had Tom Lee and Justin Houston. You had in Houston you had Clowney who could put his hand in the dirt. And on the other side you had Whitney Merciless. Von Miller, Shane Ray, Von Miller, Elvis Dumerville. So them teams that run those 3-4s, other than the Rex Ryan type teams he don't really need elite pass rushers. That guy, his schemes dictate the pressure that they get in these exotic blitzes. But in this Matt Patricia defense, it'll be interesting. They 3-4 is more of a hybrid 4-3. And if they really change to a 3-4, and that's the identity he wants to have, I mean, the Lions have the back end, not even to worry about that. They already said Nevin Lawson ain't coming back from what I hear. Tease Tabor is going to be the number 2 corner. I guess Diggs is going to act as a nickel / strong safety, like the way he was hitting this year, like Don Carey has over the last few years. And they like Agnew in the slot, and they like obviously Glover Quinn, Tavon Wilson, Killebrew, Diggs, and then Slade's your number 1 corner. So now you can just, actually do what the Lions had before, is build a strong front seven and a strong D-line. And when you're talking about 3-4, you got to get the Hogs up front. They eat up double and triple teams. Your nose tackle got to be a big guy, 330, 340. To eat up those double and triple teams in the middle of the defense. Then you want your defensive ends to be, to be a little bit versatile, play the run, eat up double teams as well, but also get upfield. You want one of them to get upfield as well, similar to like a J.J. Watt. But don't expect J.J. Watt numbers out of that 3-4 defensive end because that's really unheard of. For a guy to eat and get 20 sacks from that position, that just shows how special he was when he was injury-free. So it's time. I mean, you can find good quality defensive tackles late in the draft. You can find good linebackers, inside linebackers late in the draft. And you can find pass rushers all over the place. So I think the time is right. The time is now. Since you don't have any money tied up into the front seven right now. And I think, finding an inside linebacker, the Lions have plenty of money in free agency. They have some draft picks as well. Offensively, all they really need is a running back and maybe a tight end in waiting, and maybe an offensive lineman, a left guard if they don't bring Swanson back and they kick Glasgow to center. So the Lions really can go all in on defense all offseason as long as they can find their running back or some running backs as well that can contribute and help Stafford get to the next level. So this offseason, this draft is going to be all about building that front seven and improving that defense. I think Matt Patricia, if he chooses to go to a 3-4, picked the perfect time to come to the Lions and go to a 3-4. It really doesn't make me a difference because I know they're going to run a hybrid 4-3-4. But if the time is right, the time is now. And I wouldn't be opposed to them going to a 3-4. And I know Patricia is able to scout and get the guys that he wants to fit the defense because he's run a successful 3-4 defense before. So we'll just see how it goes. Let me know what y'all think.